morning. It's Charles Folkart on the morning of October the 4th, 2017. I welcome everyone, and I thank you for supporting this channel either by watching or sharing or liking or throwing a few in the kitty. You know, I do these pretty much off the cuff in case you haven't noticed. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about what I've been doing here for the last few months, since April. Oh, actually, it goes back earlier than that. I ran a company called Rocky Mountain Rocket Stoves. And when and after and during the time I was trying to build Rocky Mountain Rocket Stoves, and I did do quite a bit of work, I was also defending myself in propria persona, in my own person. I did not hire an attorney. I was defending myself in a false allegation suit of fraud. And I took that all the way while I was trying to build Rocky Mountain Rocket Stoves. I took that case twice to the Montana Supreme Court. And, you know, it should be obvious that that takes a lot of time and effort. And so, but I was able to create a great rocket stove. And I had a website. But then when the other party won the judgment on complete corruption, I said, well, what's the point? What's the point of working if whatever I make or whatever I am able to gain, it goes to the other party that committed fraud? So I had to cut back. I got out of my shop. I wasn't paying the shop rent. That gave me a few extra dollars every month, and then which I needed. And then I decided, you know what? I can't pay rent anymore. My rent was taking up half of my income. So I realized that I couldn't rent any longer, even though I had a nice place to live and it was warm. The electric bill was included in the rent. But I really didn't like cutting someone else's lawn, even though it was in exchange. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to put that rent money somewhere else so that I don't have to pay that rent. And that's what I did. I'm not going to go into particulars, but I no longer pay rent per se. But this place is a little more affected by the weather. I got to be a little more in touch. There's always something to do. And you know, while I'm going through all this and all the stuff that's happened, I lost, which was actually ended up being a blessing. I lost everything back in the 1990s. That allowed me to go overseas. That allowed me to go and visit 25 other countries at least. It may be up beyond that now, I don't know. And it gives me the experience to be able to relate to you. The process. I want to tell you what I see happening now. It's called normalcy bias. I went through it during my divorce. I thought things were going to continue as it always had, and it took me quite a while to recover and realize, hey, this is a new reality for me, and I need to respond to this new reality. And that's when I went and filed bankruptcy to protect what I had left, and that's when that Esau Edomite judge took everything else that I had left. Now, I'm not complaining. That's just what happened. It could have been cancer. It could have been a bad accident. It could have been a lot of things, but that's what it was for me. And what I'm saying and what I'm thinking is that, and a friend of mine, he said this to me early on. He says, you know, Charles, it's a blessing because you're just going through earlier what everyone else is going to go through later. You're just going through earlier what everyone else is going to go through later. So if that's true, and it sure looks like it to me, you need to learn. I would suggest, I don't want to tell you what to do, but I would suggest you learn to live on less. You learn to live on less. And get prepared and be able to survive for a period of time without any outside help if possible. Now, there's a lot of particulars, and I'm not going into those right now. But if you're not prepared to be able to do certain things, that's why I suggested the 72-hour Hurricane Jekyll preparation test. Do it. 3 days. Go watch the video. Do it. It might make the difference between whether you survive. Look what's going on in Las Vegas, folks. That was not a single shooter. You know, there's nothing stopping our rogue Esau Edomite controlled empire from flying in an enemy. As horrible as that sounds, there's nothing to stop them from flying in an army and keeping them somewhere in remote areas of the United States. The United States is a very large geographical area, and I can see where they could easily hide an army of 100,000, 200,000 men and equip them and say, okay, Europe, hello, Europe is being invaded. Europe is and we're being invaded too. It just isn't as obvious here yet. And that's why I'm thinking maybe they're going to help along the invasion. Folks, I don't know. But we've got to think that way. And I mentioned a water filter. You need to, and also you need to have some way to make a fire. Having a way to make a fire, it just gives you a peace of mind. It gives me a peace of mind that I know no matter what happens, as long as I have this with me and the proper materials to kindle, I can make a fire, I can heat water. It was cold last night, folks, and if I didn't have a way to heat, I would have been pretty uncomfortable. So that's why I started the rocket stove business, because with a rocket stove, which heats with fuel, heats with wood fuel, it doesn't matter if you don't have any propane, you don't have any natural gas, you don't have any electric. All you need is something that'll burn, and you can heat water and cook food. All right. So, but I had to shut down that business because she went to the local, she just caused a problem, and I said, what's the point? But I still have some in inventory, and there's still a little bit of time left. If you want one, let me know, and I will take the time to put it in a box and ship it to you, because you're going to want a way to cook food without propane and without electric and without gas that you have to buy. That's just my way of looking at things, folks. I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting this channel, and may the grace of God our Father Yahweh, may his grace be upon us all, for we certainly need it. See you.